Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Targeting Winners. Tim here with Darren. How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing well, man. How's it going today?
It's going great. Episode 99, getting episode close to triple digits here. Pete may or may not be joining us. He's already been here twice. So he's up in a place that he doesn't want anyone to visit because it gets too crowded and people keep messing up his internet. So he's in and out. So we'll do it the over/under at 6.5. How many times he has to rejoin the show? He's already done it twice.
I bet over the 4.5. I'm just about ready to cash that bad boy because between that 14 teams to take a quick peek at, give out a few bets. I may cash that like 5 teams in. So
easy money. All right. Well, as you can tell, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe our channel, and you can also find us on Spotify. Like, subscribe, leave a message, leave a comment. We'll get back to you. You can also email us. Yes, comments, please.
Lots of comments.
And
college football betting community. Yes, that helps.
It's free and it's easy. I mean, just click on the thing and then click on the other thing, and you're good to go.
That was very technical.
Very technical. The bell thingy, and then for subscribe, click on that, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
You know, as you can tell on the screen, we're doing the Sun Belt. All right. Interesting conference, to say the least.
I love this conference. I mean, they don't call it the Fun Belt for nothing. The only conference that still likes to use divisions.
I know, really.
Maybe makes it a little bit tougher, I think, to pick a winner because, every other conference you can finish second and you're still going to the conference title game. You finish second in the East or West, you got a bowl game, and that's probably it.
And that's it.
A lot depends on those two opponents that you're playing in the other division to round out your conference schedule. So, very interesting. I kind of liken this to Big 12 version 2.0. I can make a case for like 7 or 8 teams. to make the conference title game, so
that's why it's hard to pick. So it's just weird.
Well, if anybody's got an idea, you can definitely make some money here. The favorite
there are betting opportunities. So I found one of my favorite long bombs. So let's just jump right in with both feet here. We're going to start with Georgia State. The odds are plus 5,000 and a win total of 3.5. What are you thinking here, Darren?
Yeah, Georgia State had a bit of a rough start last year. Their head coach took over sometime around mid to late February when spring practices were kind of already a thing. So they were a little bit behind the 8 ball before the season even really started here. They do bring back a somewhat experienced quarterback in Christian Villa, probably pronouncing that wrong. Their leading running back did go to Oklahoma State, but they did get Rashad Amos from Mississippi and Branson Robinson from Georgia, so they should have some decent running back options there. Leading wide receiver Ted Hurst returns, but most of the other receiving production is gone, along with only one returning starter on the O-line, so some issues there. Defensively, only 2 starters return on that side of the ball, so already an issue there. Only 3 transfers also brought in on the defense side of the ball. So it's very possible head coach Del McGee likes what he has. But yeah, not a lot of activity in the portal there, especially defensively. Just not a lot of depth here. Statistically, towards the bottom of the conference, defensively. Looking at this schedule as far as that 3.5 goes, I see DraftKings got a juice to the over. FanDuel's got a juice to the under. South Alabama and James Madison go there. They go to Georgia Southern and ODU. Non-conference schedule pretty tough too. They go to Mississippi and Vanderbilt.
Right, saw that.
And then host Memphis. So, not a lot of returning starters, not a lot of portal additions, and a pretty tough schedule. Those 4 conference games I mentioned. A lot of those teams are in the top half of favorites to win this conference here. So I kind of don't really have an opinion on that total. Because I do think they were kind of screwed from the get-go last year as late as McGee took over. So maybe that he's had a full off season to get some things together. maybe you can go over, but that schedule is. I mean, those 7 games I mentioned, those could literally be all losses. So then it's like, where do you get 4 wins
Right.
out of the
You
last
got to find
5?
4 wins there somewhere. That's why that
Yeah,
was the one bet. If it wasn't like having to lock up money for basically the whole year, I might have fired on the under. Just it looks like it's right for the picking, which means there's something's up. They'll probably squeak out a win there somewhere, but nah, this is one of those I definitely left alone. Definitely leave them alone.
yeah, I did too.
So, well, in the interest of if anyone is betting on the under for Pete's return, let's move along to ULM, the Warhawks.
My over money taking a slight hit there. Yeah.
Plus 3,000. The win total is 4.5. Uh, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one again. Get the what do you think on Monroe?
You know what? I kind of. This is your typical tale of 2 seasons here. I mean, they were so bad for so long. Their first 6 games last year, they won 5 of them. Things were looking great. Last 6 games, 0-6. Didn't even make a bowl game after that awesome start. So, but I definitely think this is a program headed in the right direction. I just don't know if this year they're going to be able to get to a bowl. I mean, their best player last year was running back Ahmad Hardy. He had over 1,300 yards, 13 TDs. He's at Missouri now. This team was awful as far as passing the ball, last in the Sun Belt in passing offense. They do get their quarterback to return, Aiden Armanta, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And a lot of their receiving production is back as well. But again, when you can't pass the ball, does that really make a difference? They did bring in 4 transfers that were running backs to try and replace Hardy. So we'll see if anybody can emerge from that group. 2 starters back on the O line. So again, more of an issue there. Um, the defense, though, actually wasn't too terrible. And they are getting a lot of their production returning. They only gave up 28 points a game last year. You might think, well, that's terrible. Well, 2023, they gave up 38 points a game. So definitely a huge improvement there. The one thing that will be missing is Wydett Williams. This team only had 6 picks. He had 3 of them. This team also had 7 fumble recoveries. He also had 3 of those, and he's now at Ole Miss as well. Again, looking at this schedule, a lot of the teams most likely to be in the conference title game are on this schedule. South Alabama and ODU. Visit them. They go to Texas State and Louisiana. They go to Northwestern. They go to Alabama as far as their non-conference schedule goes. Um, and they are missing 3 of the teams that are projected to be a little bit weaker here in Marshall, Georgia State, and App State. So I have a lean to the under here. You can actually get that at a little bit of plus money on DraftKings if you're so inclined. I did not bet it because this team did get off to a quick start last year. I might see what kind of start they get off to this year and then potentially fire, but no bet officially, but a lean towards the under 4.5 here.
Excellent. And Peter is back.
Dun,
Number
dun,
3.
dun.
So,
yeah, for probably 2 minutes. Who are we talking about?
Louisiana. We did Georgia State,
did Georgia
I just
State.
finished up Louisiana Monroe.
Louisiana
Any notes
Monroe.
on that?
Hold on, I got to find my notes on that. So I don't know where we were yet. Let's see.
We don't want you to get dumped again, so don't change web pages or anything. Let's.
I switched to the tower, so I don't know if that's going to help or not. What do I have on them?
Hopefully not too much.
I'll catch up on the next one. Just go. I'll catch up on the next one.
They're a sentimental team for me because every time I played college football, before they got rid of it, I was always Louisiana Monroe Warhawks for some reason. Moved them into like the Big Ten. All that. That was the always team I always built the dynasty with. But Arkansas State. You got your notes yet, Pete? We'll go on. We got plus
I'm working on
it. They're at plus 2,000. The over/under is 5.5 wins. I will give Pete a little more time. Darren, what you got on Arkansas State?
All right. Well, Arkansas State's got one of the best QBs coming back in Jalen Rayner, so that certainly helps. He did have 10 picks, so I've read some things where people said, well, he's got to cut back on the turnovers. But also, if you look at some game logs, 5 of those interceptions were in the first 4 games of the year. So over the last 8 games, he did fine at keeping the ball for his team. They do have Jaquaz Cross at running back and Corey Rucker at wide receiver returning, so that's nice. Offensive line, not so nice. Only one returning starter there. Wide receiver group is thin, despite Rucker returning. Zach Wallace playing for the Falcons now. No other receiver that is returning had over 500 yards receiving, so curious to see where the rest of that receiving production is going to come. Defensively, it looks bad. 14 of your top 15 tacklers are gone. Only one returning starter. Total defense, this team was 129th last year. Remember, there's only 136 teams in FBS. Dead last in the Sun Belt in yards allowed, 11th in points. This 5.5 win total is juiced to the under at a lot of the major sports books here. Man, I don't know here. I would kind of lean the under here. I didn't fire, but just looking at some of the games on the schedule, they do host some of the big boys, Louisiana, Texas State, and Georgia Southern. They do have to go to South Alabama. Non-conference, they go to Arkansas, so that'll be a nice paycheck there. And they host Iowa State, so that's probably not going to go well for them either. But a complete defensive rebuild here, so I'm avoiding this team. No bets, but definitely leaning the under.
Yeah, I was ready to bet, and then I saw what you saw with the defense and the offensive line. Because once you see the quarterback, most important position, then you see the defense, the offensive line just totally. And I was like, ooh, never mind. So I'll just leave that one alone. Pete, you have any thoughts on Arkansas State?
No, I mean, you hit them. I mean, I have big notes on here about defense being just abysmal. I mean, they gave up 450 yards a game last year. I don't see it improving, losing all those players. I don't care how good the offense is, and it's not going to be that good anyway. They're not going to overcome that defense, so they're going to have a long year. I would lean toward that under as well.
Okay. All right. Next up on the list, we have Coastal Carolina.
Hey, did you skip Marshall? You went right by our boys.
I did skip Marshall. Well, they're a de facto expansion team because, I mean, the whole team is now playing somewhere else. But, all right, I totally messed up my notes here. I can't even blame the internet. Marshall, plus 2,000. Same win total at 5.5. A lot of 5.5 win totals in this conference I'm starting to think the lines makers kind of mailed this one in a little bit. But, okay, so we got Marshall at 5.5 for the win total, and they're at plus 2,000 for the conference. Pete, you want to start on this one?
Yeah, I can do that. So when I look at how they performed last year and such, they're kind of a middle of the packer here. That's what they've generally been. And I think from the offensive side, they were, hold on, I have it right here. They were 8th in the Sun Belt last year, which is right in the middle, right? Pretty much a little below middle. Defensively, 9th. So they're kind of a middle ground player here. What was the win total?
5.5.
5.5.
That's what it is on Hard Rock Bet. Maybe Hard Rock Bet mailed it in. I got all 5.5. So it's like 2 or 3 teams.
DK and FanDuel have 5.5 also.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I mean, I think I would be tempted to lean toward the under here. The defense is okay, but I think they're going to have trouble with some of the teams with better offenses here. Schedule is where'd I go? It's a very difficult schedule. I think they have some tough games coming up at Coastal, at Appy State. I think that's going to be challenging. So, yeah, I don't like them very much. I think they're going to be a team in the conference, and I think the defense is going to hurt them. So those are my thoughts.
All right, Darren.
Yeah, I mean, everything Pete said, I am in complete agreement. This is like a complete and total rebuild here. Dead last in the nation as far as returning production goes, 136 out of 136. The 2 QBs on the roster, both transfers combined last year. Combined, both these guys, by the way, their stats put together. Passing 0 for 1, 0 yards. So, the 2 guys who are going to lead this offense have combined to throw 1 pass in 2024. So
that's only one more than me.
Yeah, you might as well join in to see if you be QB3. But yeah, I mean, a ton of portal ads, 10 wide receivers alone, 21 defensive players for that complete rebuild job. Pete mentioned a couple teams on their schedule. They also host Texas State and James Madison. They go to Louisiana. They have a non-conference game against Georgia.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, 5.5 just seems really, really high. I mean, I have a lean under, but after listening to Pete and reading my notes, I'm not really sure why I didn't fire on this. I may fire on this. I'm not even sure how. I don't know how they even get to 5, much less 6.
It's quite tempting.
I hope they get paid a lot of money for that Georgia game.
Oh, they're going to. I mean, head coach is his first head coaching job ever. Oh, dude, you may have talked me into a bet here. I mean, because I literally have written lean under 5.5. I may fire on that by. I don't know. If I bet it, I'll leave a comment under the video after we post it. But yeah, I'm not sure how this team gets to 6-6, but
no.
Well, apologies to all the Marshall faithful out there. So we're going to go right on to Coastal Carolina. Plus 1750 over under. Once again, 5.5. Darren, let's start with you. What you got here?
You know what? This team intrigued me a little bit. I know they lost both their quarterbacks, but neither one of them were. I mean, they were good, but not great. They do bring in Maryland's backup MJ Morris and San Jose State's Emmett Brown, who I actually do like. I don't know if he's going to be QB1 or not, but I do like him if MJ Morris ends up not getting the job. Their running back, they brought in UMass transfer Jalen John. I actually like that as well, as Braden Bennett is off to Neverland over there at Virginia Tech. Top 3 wide receivers as far as yards go come back. 4 starters along the offensive line for a team that only allowed 15 sacks. So offensively, I think this team's in pretty good shape. Defense, you could say, well, they only have 3 returning starters, but if you remember from our show, I believe, Pete, you and I did Conference USA where we discussed Louisiana Tech. One of the things we hated was they lost their defensive coordinator. Well, he came over to Coastal Carolina, and remember, in 2023, Louisiana Tech gave up 33 points a game. The one year he was there, he got it down to 21. And Coastal allowed 31 last year. So if this guy can work anything close to what he did with Louisiana Tech, their defense should be decent as well. And despite the defense that they had last year, they still registered 29 sacks, 11 fumble recoveries, 11 interceptions. And that was with a team otherwise statistically was pretty bad. So I kind of like what they got going on defensively with a new coordinator coming in. Schedule's not terrible. I mean, they host James Madison. They go to South Alabama and Georgia Southern. Non-conference, they travel to Virginia. They host East Carolina. And a lot of people love East Carolina after their fight-filled bowl game win last year, but we'll discuss that on the next show. 5.5 juice to the under seems a little off, so I'm sure I'm missing something here, and maybe Pete can straighten me out here. But this is my surprise team in the East here. I don't know if they have what it takes to win the East, but I don't think they're as far off as that 18-1 at DraftKings or 17-1 at FanDuel says they are.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So I think this team is evolving in the correct direction. I'll say that for them. I think the offense is actually going to be pretty good. It'll be fun to see how that transforms this year with the new players they have in. But I think they certainly have the right coach and the right structure for that. I think the reason it's juiced the under is the defense. The defense has been bad. Right now, they brought over a good coordinator. They brought some players in. Will that help? I don't know. I mean, I think in time it certainly will. So I think if you're looking at playing them or playing the over, you are thinking that defense is going to take a pretty big step forward based on the coordinator, which is possible. I can't bet that because I have to see it first. I don't think I think the defense will improve more next year when he's there for a full year. But certainly I think it'll be better. I just don't know if it'll be better enough. They had a lot of issues stopping big plays, high octane offenses last year. That was their problem. I don't know if they have the bodies to correct that problem. They have the coordinator, but he's not on the field, right? So for me, that's the issue with them is I don't think they have the bodies to be able to deal with high octane offenses, offenses that are stretching the field, that type of thing. So I think that'll be their issue, but I think they'll have an overall decent year, probably somewhere around 6 wins. I would not be surprised.
Man, any final thoughts? Either one. We'll keep this moving.
No, man. I mean, I asked him to set me straight. The only thing I'll say to that is, he wasn't on the field for Louisiana Tech last year either.
That's right.
I remember that.
You are just betting that defense is going to get better.
Exactly.
Like exactly.
Because I think what that offense has is actually kind of better than a lot of what is in this conference. So, I mean, when I don't even like the favorite in the East, honestly. So I just think for a surprise team, I mean, it's not going to be Grayson McCall, from 2-3 years ago, Coastal Carolina, obviously. But like you said, the defense is the concern. If they get anything out of it, they'll have a shot. And they get James Madison at home, I believe, early on. We can look at that when we get to James Madison, but that's a game worth watching for me because I think this team could surprise.
Hey, that bet's no more of a stretch than mine's going to be, so we're good.
I didn't bet it yet, but listening to you, you're talking me into possibly 2 bets before I'm even done here today. So I don't know. Might be like Tim in the Big 12. Jesus.
Oh, hey, I blew half my bankroll on that conference. So we got all right. We got Troy plus 1,500 win total. Guess what? 5.5. Pete, let's start with you with Detroit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So, Troy. So they had a bad year last year after having some really good years before that, right? And we talked about it last year and the concerns. I was off on them last year, thinking that they were going to be better than they were. I'm going to stick my foot right back in my mouth this time, and I'm going to do the same thing. I see a team that I like. I like the direction they're heading. I think they can draw players. I think they're in position for a bounce back. So I do have them as my surprise team. I'm actually going to bet them to win the conference at, was it plus 1,500? Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. I don't know if they're actually going to do that. So it's a bit of a long shot stretch here. So kind of like I was giving Darren the business a minute ago about just looking for magical defensive corrections. I'm looking for the same. I'm looking for them rising from the ashes and becoming somewhat more like they were the year before last year, not last year. As I said, I think they're moving in the right direction. They're going to build around that defense, which I'd like to see happen. So if that defense can play, in the same realm as they have in the past, I think their offense is good enough where they have a chance. I think they'll be in games and a lot of close games. So it's going to come down to whether they can eke those wins out or not. And man, if they can get into that playoff game at the end, that would be quite interesting to see what happens there. So that's really what I'm betting on, is that I think on the West side, I think they have a better chance of getting to that game. And because of that, they have a chance. So I'm betting on that chance because I think the defense will be good enough and the offense will also be good enough. So that's my thoughts on Troy.
Darren.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna bash that. I actually kind of like that bet at the number you got. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I won't talk much about the offense. That Troy's never really been known as an offensive juggernaut. They certainly don't look like they're gonna be one again this year. They lost their QB, their top running back, their top wide receiver. But a lot of the offensive line comes back, so at least that's something to build around. And Pete talked about their defense. Even last year in a down year, their defense was actually not that bad. And they do have a lot of returning production. Their issue mainly was, they couldn't get pressure on the quarterback for whatever reason. They couldn't generate a whole lot of turnovers. And if you just look at last year, they got 19 sacks, 6 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries. In the previous years that Pete was touching on, 2022 and 2023, 88 sacks as a defense. That's insane. It was like 47 and 41 or something like that. If they can get anywhere near that, I mean, this team could have that defense carry them right to the West Division title and a spot in the championship game. So I don't hate that bet at all. If I had to worry about something, it would be the offense. I always worry a little bit about teams that don't have the strongest offense and how long can that defense bend and not break. Troy certainly has a history of defenses that don't break. So don't hate it. I think the number's fair. I'm not touching it, but I see the 5.5 is juiced to the over at FanDuel. It's evenly juiced at DraftKings. The schedule, I mean, at least from a conference standpoint, I mean, you get Louisiana and South Alabama at home. You do have to go to Texas State. That's probably going to be the tough one right there. You go to Old Dominion, but Old Dominion, maybe middle of the pack. But if you're betting the win total, they go to Clemson and they go to Buffalo. That could be bad. And they host Memphis, which could also be bad. So Win total at your own risk if you want to go over that. But no, I don't hate that bet at all. I think in this conference, anybody with some semblance of a defense has got a decent shot to represent their division. So no, I don't hate this at all. I mean, I'll try and find something else to bash you on, but this isn't it. I'm sorry.
Well, keep bashing is always fun. So
I know, but I can't do it here. I agree with you.
right. Well, let's keep this moving. We're going good right here. We got App State plus 2,000 with a win total of, you guessed it, 5.5. Darren, let's start with you on this one as well. App State.
What happened to App State? They used to be so much fun. Only one returning starter offense. Yeah, but they were. I mean, if you've ever go to see a game there, which I think as a group at some point we should, it's really, really nice in Boone. So I wouldn't be against going there for a trip in the future. But anyway, like I said, only one returning starter on that side of the ball. You're going to have a QB battle between A.J. Swan, who was LSU last year, but you may know him from his time in Vanderbilt the year before. J.J. Cole from Iowa State also competing for that job. The running back Kanye Roberts is back after he had a couple injury issues in 24, so that's nice. The receiving core is pretty much brand new, except for Dalton Stroman. No stars from the offensive line, so that is concerning as well. Defensively, again, not a good year. 33 points per game allowed, 401 yards per game. Some returning production in the front seven. But the secondary looks really good. So I guess if you want to beat this team, try and run on them because you should not be able to pass on them. Despite that, generating turnovers an issue. Only 4 interceptions as a unit last year. The QBs threw 4 times that, 16. And again, a lot of this roster. I mean, you had over 40 guys leave. You had over 30 guys come in. I have no idea what you have with this team. And there's a few teams that are like this, which is why this conference is kind of like Big 12 version 2.0 for me. I have no idea what the hell half these teams are going to do. Scheduled, not brutal, at least from a conference standpoint. I mean, they go to Southern Miss, which is kind of everybody's darling this year. They go to James Madison. They go to Old Dominion. The non-conference, there's a couple tilts there. They go to Boise. That's probably not going to end well. And they host Oregon State. There's just so much turnover here on both sides of the ball. I have no idea what to expect. So until I see this team play a game or two, I want nothing to do with this team other than maybe go to their stadium. But that's about it.
Right. Yeah. Good road trip.
Which sounds fun. I'm on board for that. So, Harkening back to when this team was good and they beat Michigan, which was painful, but I'm beyond that. That was a long time ago. But this team was good when they were leaning on their defense. Right? When they beat Michigan, that was defense that sealed that game for them, and that's what they leaned on when they were good. And I think the issue has been it's okay now. It's middle of the pack, but it's not that good. And I think that's the issue they're running into here. But we've talked about the same thing for a couple of these conferences now. So many players in and out that it is so difficult to tell, especially at this level. If you're at, kind of the upper, if you're at Big Ten or SEC and you have players coming in and out, you usually can see, there's more clear, insight into who that player is and how good they are. So you can read it a little better. When you've got players coming in and out from like JUCO and all these other places, it's really hard to figure out who's going to, step up and who's not. And I think that's the issue. I think the defense needs to step up a bit, but I think this is another middle of the pack team, right? I think they're going to hang around the middle. There's going to be a lot of close games in this conference. It'll be, a few points here, a few points there, and you'll have somebody win 7 games and somebody win 4. And that's how it's all going to mix out. So it's really hard to tell where this is going to go, but I think I don't think they're going to be that great this year. I think they have another year in front of them to continue to improve. So I look at them maybe winning 5 games, something like that. That wouldn't surprise me.
All right, we're going to go into the upper part of the conference here. We actually have some teams we're going to feature here. We're going to move on to Old Dominion, plus 1,100. Win total still 5.5. They're just going to keep riding at 5.5 for as long as they can. Peter, you want to start off on this one, or should we go to Darren?
I can start this one. That's fine. So, and by the way, my internet's actually held up. I only got kicked out twice.
That's why I'm trying to go fast. I'm like, we don't know how much more time we're going to have Pete here, so let's keep this moving.
Just jinx himself. He's going to go out.
I know,
in the
he's going to be out in like 5 seconds. It's going to drop.
Oh, thanks a lot. You guys just jinxed me. But that's all right. Fine. Whatever. So, Old Dominion. So, about 50% returns on the defensive side. I think it's 54%. Offense, like 45. So, a decent amount of returning players for this team. Not that the team was great or anything, but they were serviceable. They were 5-7. Kicking around this 5.5 number again. It's would not be surprising for them to be kicking around that number again. Their offense it needs to step up a bit. I thought their offense was quite underwhelming. Their defense was okay. It was average. And they leaned on a bit, and I'd say they won some games, but they were only 3-5 in the Sun Belt, which is not great. I don't see them being much better this year. I think they're going to be kicking around about the same level, so I don't really have a lot of high hopes for them. And honestly, I think their coach could potentially be on the hot seat pretty quickly here. I mean, I think this is year 6 for him, and there hasn't been much positivity of late. And I think that could be an issue. So when we get a little further into the season and we start talking about coaches in the hot seat, I'm going to predict that he's going to be one of them on that hot seat and could have some problems if we roll into the year if he doesn't start winning some games. And I'm not sure he's going to. So I think that's going to be a problem. So that's my thoughts.
Peter or Darren?
I slightly disagree here. One of the things we talked about are things, some stats that usually reverse themselves from year to year: turnovers, close games, things like that. Pete had mentioned this 5-7 record. Well, out of those 7 losses, 6 were by 1 score or less. So that could certainly turn around to some extent in 2025. Their quarterback, Colton Joseph, he's not awful. He's a nice dual threat guy, in addition to his 1,600 yards passing and 11 TDs. He also had over 600 yards rushing and 11 TDs on the ground as well. So he's certainly somebody that defenses have to account for. Decent running back tandem coming back in Brian Duke and Devin. I'm probably Roche. Is it Roche or Roche? I don't know. I'm going to go with Roche because it's an E at the end. But again, the wide receiving core, all brand new people. Defensively, if you don't know the name Jason Henderson, you probably will shortly. The last 3 years, this guy's registered 438 tackles. 438. I'm just going to let you do the math. That's a lot of tackles for 3 years. He's coming off a knee injury, so his health may be a bit of a question mark, but supposedly he's ready to go. This dude is ridiculous. There's a chart on ESPN that shows most tackles in the Sun Belt, like the last 5 years. He had 3 of them. So, I mean, this guy is no one-year wonder. The secondary is all brand new, so that does kind of worry me a little bit. A lot of their ads came from the junior college ranks, so probably not FBS level talent there on that side of the ball. DraftKings actually has 6.5 as a win total, although it is juiced to the under. But Tim's got that schedule up there. Their 4 home games are all against teams with lesser chance to win the conference than the Monarchs here have. So that certainly helps them in an East that's maybe only 2 or 3 team top heavy, I think. The non-conference, if you're looking at that win total, they host Liberty. We had talked about Liberty before. And then they go to Indiana and Virginia Tech. Indiana, I think, still probably going to be good. But Virginia Tech, who knows what you're going to get out of them. But don't hate this team. Jason Henderson's health, obviously, is the key to the defense. And since we're not 100% sure what it is, I'm not betting anything involving this team. I like it maybe a touch better than Pete does. I think they could be. I don't know if they can win the East, but I think they'll be in the top half when all's said and done.
Yeah. Right. Okay, we're going to move on. We got the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana plus 550 win total. Jumped up a notch here, 1.5. Peter, let's start with you on this one. We got Louisiana here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, interesting team to me. I think they're a team that their biggest issue last year was just not being consistent. If you watch their games, right, sometimes they look actually pretty good, and then they were just not. And so there was just a lack of consistency. I think that's something that absolutely needs to come, right? And I mean on both sides of the ball. Right? They look good on both sides of the ball at times, and then just not so much. I think the defense actually has the potential to be a pretty good defense, and I think their schedule kind of middle of the pack kind of plays into that a bit. So I do think this team has some upside here this year if they can find some consistency. There's a lot of ifs, of course, right? But I think that's what they need. They need to run the ball. Yeah, so I think once again, another team in the middle of the pack. I think they could be dangerous though. On any day, I think they could beat some of the favorites in this conference. So I think that is a concern. So I think you have to be careful playing them, especially if they're on a good day. But I don't see them winning this conference. I don't see that happening. But I do see them being competitive. I do see them being in the middle of the pack. I do see them being dangerous on days when they are clicking, right? But that was the issue last year. Sometimes they clicked, sometimes they didn't. So those are my thoughts.
Darren.
Again, much like Old Dominion, I like this team a little bit more than Pete does. If you remember, I mean, this was a 10-win team last year. But going into the Sun Belt title game where they played Marshall, they did lose Ben Wooldridge to an injury before that time. They also lost their backup, I believe, was Chandler Fields. He got hurt as well. So when you don't have your top two quarterbacks, you lose 31-3 in the Sun Belt title game. When you don't have either guys back for the bowl game against TCU, you get blown out again. And that's what happened. It was like 34-3. So the last two games, I can't really put a whole lot of stock into that because they were missing their top two quarterbacks. But again, this was still a 10-win program. If you remember not too long ago, this was a 13-win program. Then new coach Mike DeSormo came in, a couple of 6-win seasons, but again, he got him to that 10-win mark last year. I don't know if any of you guys can bet on Sunbelt Offensive Player of the Year, but give Walker Howard a look. He's going to be the QB here. Started his career at LSU, went to Ole Miss. Sorry, you're not playing over Jackson Dart. We talk a lot on this show how these group of 5 teams or FCS guys, how they're going to translate to these higher levels. Sometimes we knock them a little bit just because the competition's not good. Well, here's a guy who's going from 2 SEC teams to the Sun Belt. So if anybody is set up to flourish, it's Walker Howard, and I like what he brings to this team here. Their top 2 running backs both return. Again, as we saw, not stop me for this before, a lot of the receiving core is brand new. Defensively, I do worry a little. Only 4 returning starters there, but 2 of them are their top 2 sack getters from last year. Secondary, total rebuild. I mean, it's a good thing they have 2 good running backs because they're going to need to keep decent passing teams off the field here. The reason I actually like this team, okay, so we talk a lot about, it was the one team we just talked about. 30 guys brought in, 40 guys left. Yeah, this is DeSormo's 4th year coaching this team. All the coordinators are the same from the year before. He only brought in 7 guys total from the portal. So while he's losing a lot of starters, the production that he's keeping, he obviously believes in them. They know the system. Pete talks about continuity a lot, and that is big, especially early on. So I kind of like where this team is headed. And if the coach says, hey, you know what? I don't need anybody from the portal. I trust my guys. I'm only bringing in a handful. And one of them was that quarterback. You got to trust this guy. I mean, he is coming off a 10-win season. And again, those last 2 games on his 3rd string quarterback. So, FanDuel's got 7.5 actually juiced to the over. So they're expecting at least 8 wins out of this team here. They host Texas State. That's going to be a monster game right there at the end of the season there, early November, what is that, the 11th, the 6th? I think that says in that print there. So, yeah, they get Texas State at home. They do go to James Madison. But again, James Madison is not in their division. So that certainly isn't going to hurt them should they lose there as far as potentially representing the West again. I think they're going to. I mean, this is a team I think does have enough. I think they could have the best quarterback in this conference when all's said and done. Again, just because of what's coming back on defense, and more importantly, what's not. That secondary does scare me. I did not fire on a bet for them to win, but I do think they will be the West representative in the title game.
Okay. Next up, we got Georgia Southern plus 700 for the conference. And again, we're going to duplicate the 7.5 win total. Peter, let's start with you for this one. What you thinking about the Georgia Southern?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting year for Georgia Southern. So 3 years in, so this is year 4 for Clay Helton. I think he did an excellent job in his first couple of years, just purging that team, using the portal effectively, and creating a good, consistent team. And they're that. He's basically 500, right? That's good, right? I think it's a really good base to step off of. What I'm looking for here is that next step, right? He's created stability. He's used the portal effectively. I think he really does need to find a way to step up and do better than that, right? And I think he will. I actually think this team is in a good position this year to be effective. My biggest issue with them, I talk about defenses a lot, is they play defense a bit like my Colts on the NFL play defense, which is a lot of bending but no breaking, and that drives me insane. I do not like that style. I like more of an aggressive style, like maybe like the Lions do on the NFL side. So that type of style doesn't really sit with me so well. However, right, if you're trying to keep big plays down, right, trying to control the clock and all that, it works. It has worked for this team over the past couple of years to kind of get to this, level playing field type of situation. So the question is, can they take the next step, right? And that's what I'm looking for here. The defense needs to be a bit better, but I think they will. I could see them finishing second in their division on their side, and I would not be surprised by that. So I think it's going to be interesting. It's just going to. This is the time to see if they can take that next step, and I'm just curious to see if they can do that. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right, Darren.
Yeah, I like this team as well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. J.C. French is more than adequate at the quarterback position. 2 of their top 3 receivers are back. 4 of their offensive line starters return as well, so I do like them on that side of the ball. And again, we talk about defensive question marks. Their leading tackler, Marcus Watson Trent, he was the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year, and now he's on Nebraska. So that's going to be a gigantic hole. Somebody is going to need to step up and fill that. I mean, they do have 5 returning stars, which actually isn't bad for everything we've looked at in this conference so far. But again, they allowed the most pass yards per game in the conference. So there are a couple things to work on defensively. That first month of the season, boy, I mean, I'm not high on Fresno, but it's a road game to Fresno. Then they go to USC. Jacksonville State, obviously they're not the Jacksonville State of last year, but still a good team from last year anyway. And then James Madison in there. September could potentially be brutal for this team. But then again, wouldn't surprise me if they beat Fresno. I don't think Fresno's got anything coming back, really. And we already talked about Jacksonville State. Certainly looked like they're ready for a down year. But that September 27th game against James Madison on the road, that I think will be the game that, like Pete said, we can see if they're ready to take that next step, how well they play there. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching that one. But no bets here. 7.5 is juiced to the under at DraftKings and FanDuel. Schedule's not awful. I mean, they avoid Louisiana, Texas State, and South Alabama. So that's 3 positives right there. That means they get 3 teams with lesser odds. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to that September 27th game, but no bets for me here.
True. All right, so we've gone a little bit out of order. Some people may think that we've skipped over Southern Miss, but we haven't. So we're going to talk about them now. This is, how I love some hand grenades. So this is my hand grenade pick here. So especially the ones out on Bourbon Street. But if I had any of them now, they'd probably kill me. But Southern Miss plus 1750. The win total is 4.5. Pete, but on this one?
Yeah, this is interesting. Don't like a quarter of the players wear Marshall jerseys out in the field or something. Like a quarter of the Marshall team came over.
At least. I think about two dozen of them. I think it was like 23 or 24
I saw
players.
like 20 or 21 or something like that.
Yeah, it's just fighting Marshalls in a different place or something. I'm not sure what this is. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, they're good players, and that was a good team last year. So I can see where you're going with this.
Last year.
Assuming this is what your thought process was, is that you're bringing some really good players in from Marshall. They're going to carry this team forward. They're going to be a hell of a lot better. They have a good coach now, which is good. So I think I can see some upside here. It's just talking about throwing a grenade. I don't know what happens with this, but it's going to be very interesting to watch this thing play out. So I'm going to stop talking because it's going to let you guys talk about it. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to say very little as well, and I'll let Tim go because I know he's got a bet here. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to expect from this team? Like a third of them is like Marshall and Utah State because their new offensive coordinator Blake Anderson, he brought over a crap ton of guys from Utah State as well. I mean, this team statistically was so bad last year, but like you said, 20 guys from last year's Sun Belt Championship team are now on the squad. So I mean, does it take time? Do they stay the same? Do they improve? If so, how much? I don't have any freaking idea. I'm not even touching this team. But like you said, they should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot for them to work on. I mean, offensively and defensively. I mean, they allowed 45 sacks. So who's ever quarterbacking this team, which is Braylon Braxton,
Yep.
good luck, buddy, because you're going to need some help there. Third down percentage offensively, 24%. Turnover ratio, Tim's favorite category, minus 19. I mean, they allowed over 230 yards a game rushing. I mean, there's a ton to work on here. But again, a third of your team is from two other programs. So, I mean, this seems to be everybody's like trendy pick to win this. I've seen a couple videos and a podcast and some article I read on the internet. Oh, Southern Miss. So I don't know if the value is gone. I mean, it's still 22-1 on FanDuel, so I guess not all the value is gone if you're buying into this. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is just a complete blow up from
I just
last year.
figured, I mean, look, if Ryan Day took a job at Purdue and took 24 players from last year's Ohio State team at Purdue, I mean, the odds would go up. I'm kind of, like I said, like Pete hinted at earlier. I mean, you got the team that did very well last year, and he, got a new defense coming in. I mean, but a lot of them played, in the same team. As far as last year's stats go, I mean, you got to throw those out the window. I mean, completely new team. Like I said, 17-1. I mean, I wish I had known. I would have sent you some money to get to 22 there, but I've been on vacation, haven't looked at anything in about a week and a half. The best hand grenade throw I saw was 1750 for Southern Miss. Mississippi State at home. That's pretty cool. That'll be an interesting game. We'll see how that.
Mississippi State's pretty bad. I mean, they should be able to take that one, I would think. I mean, Mississippi State's not
the home games are good. They don't have JMU on there, so yeah, I think I can see them being 6-1 in the conference. That might get them in the title game. So that's my best grenade throw right there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I think we pretty much covered it. I see Pete flickering a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Well, he's going to go. Here he goes. Number 4 coming up. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm losing my bet. I'm cashing out early on that one. He's been here for 11 teams. I mean, I'm obviously losing before.
You expected that? I didn't expect that.
I didn't either. I mean, we're on team 1, and you were out for a third time. I was like, oh, easy.
So,
see, Tim, this is why we say nothing is easy.
That's right.
Can't even bet on
Texas
reliable internet.
They are at plus 650, and their win total is again 7.5. Peter, you want to start off on this one?
Did we skip Southern Alabama, or did we talk about them already?
They are next.
No, I think we're going Texas State. Yeah, I think so. Now,
okay, that's fine. No problem. I was actually looking
at you out the first 2 or 3 times. So,
Gio Lopez left, so we have to have a second of mourning for Tim when.
Yes.
I was about to start talking about that. Like they lost Gio and all this stuff, and they just took all my thunder away. So okay, fine. That's perfectly fine. So Texas State, they're a team that's dangerous. I like this team. I think that that offense can absolutely be very dangerous, which is great. The defense is a little below average in the conference. When I look at their schedule, it's kind of middle of the pack as well. So this is, basically their defense is slightly below middle of the pack. Their offense is slightly above middle of the pack. Their schedule's middle of the pack. This is a team to me that I don't think they can win this conference. What I do think they can do is beat anybody, right? And so I think that is one of those teams that you have to be careful with through the year. I don't see them winning this conference. I don't see them being consistent enough to do it. I don't see the defense being good enough to do that. Red zone struggles all last year was an issue. They gave up a lot of big plays in the second half of games. You clearly can't do that if you're going to win a conference. So I think that's going to be their Achilles heel again, is just giving up big plays, not being good in the red zone. So I think the defense is going to let down an offense, which I actually think is pretty good. So I see them being middle of the pack, just being carried by their offense. Those are my thoughts.
Darren.
Yeah, offensively as good as they were last year. A lot of the guys who are no longer there were the main reason for that. I mean, Jordan McLeod is gone. Leading rusher Ismail Mahdi is gone. Top 3 wide receivers are gone. Is Nate Yarnell from Pittsburgh QB1? Maybe. I don't know. He's the only guy I heard of out of the 3 that are potentially fighting for the job. I think this offense is going to take a significant step back here. Also, they lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. 19 transfers just defensively come into the program for this year. I see plus 650 at DK and FanDuel. That's a little low for me here. I mean, especially in the West, where out of the 7 teams, if you made a case for one of maybe like 5 of the teams, I would just shake my head in total agreement, because I like Louisiana, but if you told me you like South Alabama or Texas State or whoever, yeah, sure. Southern Miss, yeah, okay, fine. Troy, yeah, cool. I agree with that. Whatever you guys say. But yeah, I think this team is due for a step back here. Schedule, not terrible. They do get James Madison at home, which may or may not be a preview of the Sun Belt title game again this year. They host South Alabama. That could be important in determining the West winner. I don't have a thought on the win total. I mean, 7.5 juice to the under maybe tells me that some people smarter than us are expecting a step back for them as well. But at plus 650, I wouldn't touch them to win this conference, especially in the West, which I think is the better half here. I would probably need at least 8-1, maybe 9-1 to consider laying a bet. They just lost too much at the skill positions. I just can't trust them at such a low number.
Agreed there. Yep, for sure. All right. The aforementioned South Alabama Jaguars. They are at plus 600 and a win total of 6.5 after losing all-world quarterback Gio Lopez.
Moment of silence.
Yes, moment of silence, and it even sucks more that he went to North Carolina. I mean,
yes. Although that the implosion that I predicted of that program is happening. It is not going to go. I'm telling you, it's going to blow up.
No.
Okay, I'm just going to say, because I bet North Carolina over 7.5 wins, not so fast, my friend, because Gio Lopez, baby. Who's out coaching Bill Belichick? Who's out coaching Bill Belichick?
I don't think he's going to be on the sideline. I think he's going to bail out before we even get here.
He would have bailed out on June 1st when his buyout went down to $1 million. He's still there, and we're halfway through July.
Yeah.
He's got to set it up for his kid. He'll stay for the first year. Anyway, go. Sorry, Tim.
Go
ahead.
Could you imagine how hard this show? Well, could you just imagine how hard this show would have been for you two if Gio ended up going to Florida State instead of North Carolina?
God. Oh, it'd been painful.
Pete and I would have started our road show and brought you on for the preview. You would go do your own thing after that. See you decked out in a Gio.
Imagine if he went to Miami. How great would it have been if he went to Miami? That would have been fantastic.
Never heard of him. He's a loser. Never heard of him.
Yeah. I think he'd be a better choice than who they got. So that's my opinion. But
but he did miss time.
I'll talk about
they still have his backup. I forget his name. I think it was number 14. He played a lot last year. They lost Fluff. I think he went to Ole Miss.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State went there. Yeah. His backup played a lot, and they still have him. So I think he can surprise people who are expecting a complete decimation after losing a player of the caliber of Gio, but did not fire a bullet on this one. I'll pull up their schedule here. They went with the retro CD thing. If you can see this on YouTube, but back from the 1900s.
We can't see that. We're in the room and I can't read that.
Yeah, well, it's there. I mean,
very cool.
That is back to the 1900s, as my kids would say. So
it's nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. What do you guys any thoughts on that? I'm still in mourning, but I did not place a bet here on either the win total or the conference winner.
Pete, if you don't mind, I'll
I
go quick just because I don't have
you
much to
go.
say here. Gio's gone. I don't even know if their backup is going to start. I mean, they did get Georgia Tech's backup, Zach Pyron. I think he might be better than what Bishop Davenport, I believe, is
Yeah,
South
yeah, that's his
Alabama's
name,
backup.
Davenport.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Their top two receivers went to the NFL, as Tim mourned. The quarterback's gone. The running back's gone. Only 3 returning stars on the defensive side of the ball. His team gave up over 3,000 passing yards defensively. They had over 100 penalties as a team. This non-conference schedule is ridiculous. They host Tulane. They go to Auburn. They go to North Texas. They do miss James Madison and Georgia Southern on the schedule, but 7.5 juice to the under on DK, 6.5 juice to the over on FanDuel. Yeah, I don't trust this team, man. Not because of Gio, but he's just one of many reasons. I don't like this team at all. And that's plus 600 or plus 650 at FanDuel. No thanks. Not interested. Hard pass.
No, you nailed it. This is my disappointing team for this conference. I mean, I think they've lost too many players. I mean, Gio, of course, is a big loss, but you already listed a bunch of other players they lost, so they're going to be leaning heavily into a bunch of younger players stepping in. Yeah, great. It could work, could not work, but that's set. I mean, I'm leaning the under on that because that's really intriguing. You might have talked me into a bet because I wasn't going to go anywhere on this, but I think
you
I
might
like
have talked me into whatever team we were discussing earlier on. So I figured the least I could do is return the favor.
Yeah, so I think they're going to struggle, especially early. I think they're going to struggle just getting a quarterback out there to get in the system. Because I agree, I'm not sure it's going to be the backup. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think there's going to be some challenges early in the season for them. So I think that under is pretty intriguing here. But yeah, I think that plus 650 to me is just ridiculous. I mean, there's no way they should not be at plus. They should be maybe down in the I don't know Old Dominion, Appy State range, plus 1,000, plus 1,400, something like that would make more sense to me. This just seems really short and with too many players lost. So yeah, I don't see them
Especially in the
having
West.
a
Yeah, I mean that number's way too low for them being in the West. I mean, there's
Agree.
3 to 4 other teams I like better than them. That number does not make a lot of sense to me.
Agreed.
Well, we got one team left here. We got James Madison, the Boise State of the Sun Belt. Well, let's start off with Darren here. We set him loose. They are at plus 375, and the win total is 8.5.
All right. When you guys see this video, the title is gonna be basically themed towards some dark horses for this conference. James Madison at 3-1 or plus 370, plus 330, whatever sports book you go to. That's the second highest priced favorite in all the conferences, only behind who's ever the favorite in the Big 12. Depending on what day you look, that could be one of like 5 different teams. The main problem I have with this team is Alonzo Barnett has a leg injury. I've read things from he may be ready for week 1 to he might not even play the whole season. And I'm sorry, a little over 3-1 when your all-world quarterback might not even suit up for the year. No, thank you. Want no part of it. You brought in Matthew Sluka, who completes like 45% of his passes, and if he doesn't get his NIL money, he takes off to another program. I mean, they can run the ball. They should be able still to do that. Not much in the receiving room besides Jameer Knight. Defensively, they were really good last year. A turnover ratio of plus 20. That's probably going to regress somewhat. This number is just way too short for me, especially when, like I said, that quarterback, he could sit the year, and get himself another year of eligibility. I don't want any part of this team, especially if, we're in mid-July. We don't even know if Barnett's healthy or not. No, thank you. I'm passing. I don't even think I think this team's going to pull a Liberty. Fairly overwhelming favorite. The East is a little bit weaker. Everybody thinks they're going to win it. I don't even think they're going to be in the Sun Belt title game. Kind of like last year when they weren't in the Sun Belt title game when they were supposed to win. And they had a healthy Barnett. So I'm passing. I want no part of this team. Yeah, that's all I got. Avoid.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You basically said it all. I mean, that injury is critical. So who knows what it is? It'd be really hard to bet on them right now with not knowing what that injury is going to be. Going forward here, I think without them, they are in trouble. Because, they brought another quarterback too, Camden Coleman from Richmond. I don't know what that does, if anything, right? So they have a couple guys there to fill the hole, but they're not Barnett, right? So that's going to be an issue, even if he is healthy. If he is healthy, we've had this discussion. Then there's a team that should win the conference, right? They have the defense, they have the offense, they should win. So they'll find a way not to, right? And that's what I think is going to happen with them. Is they're going to find some way not to win. It's probably just going to be an injury issue with Barnett, and that'll be it. Unfortunately for them, because I think, if he was healthy, this should be a pretty good team. They really should be a pretty good team, but I just don't think it's going to play out that way. Even if he's partially healthy and he tries to play, it's going to change the way he plays a bit, and I think that's going to be a problem. So I wouldn't touch this either. That number is way too short. It's like they don't. It's almost like, does Vegas think they know he's not injured? I don't know what that is, right? Because that number makes no sense to me. They usually have some type of inkling what's going on. So that would suggest they think he's healthy. I don't agree with that, but we'll see.
Exactly.
We'll see
I was just going to say that number makes me believe that maybe they think he's playing. But I mean, is he 100%? I mean, if you're the coaching staff, you got to do what's best for the player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Credit to him for sticking around because he probably was ready to play.
I agree.
He easily could have gone somewhere else and probably made some nice money, but that's just numbers way too low. Most important position on the field, way too risky from a health standpoint. I mean, they look at that schedule. I mean, they go to Louisville, they go to Liberty, the team we're comparing them to. That should be must-see TV.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The conference schedule's not awful. I mean, and we do. I think we are in agreement. The East is a touch weaker than the West. Yep. They could still just get this by default. I mean, even a semi-healthy Barnett is better than what a lot of these teams in the East are putting out there. But at that number, no.
Mm-hmm. No.
Think the Sluka kid got his money up front?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Get it in writing,
he's still there. He must have. I just don't get it.
I saw the name there, and I was looking. I'm like, that sounds familiar. Is that the kid that left UNLV?
It is. Just look at his stats. Well, what the hell does James Madison even want with this dude? Signing somebody as bad statistically at him tells me that Barnett is not healthy. But
yeah, I agree with that. That clear signal there that something's not right? And that's
all right. Well, we're running good. Let's wrap this up. Let's look at our bets here. Darren, why don't you go first?
All right. I think Louisiana is going to win this conference, and I don't think they're going to beat James Madison to do it, which I think makes their path a touch easier. I had a couple teams that I liked as a surprise. I went with the highest odds team in Coastal Carolina. I do kind of like what they're bringing back. I think their defense is going to improve enough to make them bowl eligible. So yes, I do think they're going to go over the Sun Belt norm of 5.5 here. And I think Texas State is going to be the disappointment. They just lost way too much offensively and enough defensively to I can't justify them being only 6-1 to win the conference. And the Fun Belt, like I said, reminds me of the Big 12. I want nothing to do with it. It's an aneurysm waiting to happen. I'm still medically recovering from Oklahoma State in 2023. So I have learned my lesson. Conferences that frustrate me, no futures bets. So no Big 12, no Fun Belt. Next.
Well, I went ahead with James Madison. I mean, I just think at the end of the day, the quarterback comes back and, they'll find a way to get it done there. They've been good for a bit. The surprise team, South Alabama, we looked at it earlier. We thought the line should be a little bit lower. So probably should have been around the 1,200 instead of the 600. So I think they'll be not as good as some people are projecting. And going the other way, the disappointing team, Louisiana. They seem to have a lot of high hopes for that team. There seem to be a lot of positive outlooks from the fans and stuff. I've been looking at some of the other pods and other websites and Twitters, so I think they might be primed for a letdown. And my bet, my hand grenade, Southern Miss, to take it down at plus 1750. Pete, what you got?
Yeah, I did kind of a Tim thing this week, right? I have James Madison winning only because they should if he's healthy, if Barnett's healthy. I'm really questioning that at the moment, but I didn't bet on them, right? I bet on Troy plus 1,500 to win because I think they have honestly, I think they have a better chance than James Madison of winning this conference. So that was my thought process when I did it. But I put James Madison on top just for the hell of it. And then South Alabama, we talked about. They lost way too many players. I just don't know what happens. But at that plus 650 number, that number is ridiculous. My disappointment came off that number, because that number, there's no flipping way, right? And so they're not going to reach that level. So to me, they're a disappointment.
Yeah, I guess you can say I had two disappointing teams. I guess I had one team surprise going the reverse way, but yeah, they're going to surprise some people. Some people are going to bet on it and be surprised. So
I'm already surprised.
Yeah.
Wait, they're going to be surprised at what? That it was that easy to lose money betting? Come on, stop.
Any final thoughts, Darren?
No.
Exactly. Like, get me away from this conference.
Hey, my final thoughts are we're getting close to Big Ten and SEC. We're starting to close in, and I'm getting excited, right? That's my final thought, is it's going to be nice to talk about some of these bigger schools that have more continuity, more players that we know well. And I think it's going to be really interesting to dive into some of those schools. So that'll be fun. And we've been talking about doing a potential live stream with one of those shows, probably the SEC. So we're working on that now, but keep your ears and eyes open for it. We will post it out there and let you know. That's something that we'd really like to do. And I'd like to have as many of you on board as we can, because it'll be a lot of fun. You can offer your insights and everything else. So those are my last thoughts.
Yes. Also, we got the bankroll management show coming up. We have one with we're going to add the 4. We got UConn, Notre Dame, Washington State, and Oregon State. We're going to preview those four teams there.
And if you've been listening since the beginning, podcast 100 will be next week, where we'll be breaking down the American Athletic Conference. So if you've been sticking with us since the beginning as far as our audio shows go, thank you. But yeah, like Pete said, definitely looking for some community involvement here on YouTube. So looking to grow this as well. So please like, subscribe, and more importantly, comment.
Yes, like, subscribe, comment. It's free. It's easy. Just click on the things. Help us out. We appreciate you all for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. And we will see you next week.